Welcome, friends. And this episode, we are going to talk about the hard week that I've been having and the hard weeks that you probably have as well. So, welcome, friends. Please like, subscribe, follow, do all the things on the podcast so other people can be aware of this. The algorithm can pick it up, however that works, and other people know about this podcast and get help through their grief. So, this past week was not a good week for me. I I I want to I'm trying to think how to do this. I don't want this to be I don't want people to walk away thinking like, "Oh my gosh, like her husband," right? Like I'm going to try to stick to the facts of what happened from my point of view, right? There's two sides to every story and just the hard week that I've had this past week. So it started actually about 2 weeks ago. My husband and I can both be pretty stubborn, and so sometimes when we fight, have disagreements, um, neither one of us wants to bend. And so we can go quite a while without talking, without saying we're sorry. We dig our heels in, and that's that. And so we had kind of a week like that, or I would say probably about 4 or 5 days of not being able to see eye to eye. We kept trying to have conversations, and then our own personal hurt and anger would be in the way. And so from that, we weren't really able to hear each other until Thursday. Okay, so it was a Thursday. So it had been multiple days, miscommunication on something. The way he communicated, I wasn't hearing it. The way I communicated, he wasn't hearing it. Okay, we resolved that. Um, Then he went to go play basketball, and it was already like 8 o'clock at night. And, he had a little bit of a drive. And so I didn't hear from him. I didn't hear from him. And so if you know how my mom died, if you don't know, go back to episode one, season two, episode one, and I talk about just like my story. And I think even the very first episode, I talk about my parents' death. And so my mom's death was very tragic. There are certain things that I think I have a little bit of PTSD from, like that will trigger me, and I start to spiral. And so that's what happened. I didn't know where he was. That sends, especially at night, and he was going to play with people that I don't know. I have no way of like contacting them. It's not regular people that he hangs out with. So like they were all like new people except for one guy. And I maybe could have found him on Facebook to message him, but that was the only thing I could think of to say, "Hey, like is my husband there? Like is he okay?" And as the hours kept going by, I kept getting more and more worried because he doesn't stay out very late. He really doesn't. And if he does, he usually lets me know because he knows that I do get upset. Like you're worried, right? Like you're worried. I think just normal people, normal wives, like you're worried when your husband doesn't respond. And so for me, it's compounded with the fact that I have had to go out and search in ditches for my mom. And so not knowing if he's okay, not knowing if I'm going to find him dead somewhere, not knowing if he made it, not knowing if it's just, "Hey, I forgot." Like that causes a stress response in me that I know I start to spiral. I know that, and I can't always bring it back real quick. And so that's kind of the first part I want to talk about is that we don't always have control. And so, you know, when my husband did come home then and he was safe for somebody who has never really experienced grief, has never experienced grief at that capacity, has never had to go and do that. To him, it was just, "Hey, I'm home. Like, what's the problem? You don't have to worry anymore." And for me, that caused me more, um, I felt isolated. I felt like he was deflecting the situation. Okay, all these feelings, right? All these feelings were coming up. And so from there, this has kind of snowballed and spiraled into neither of us feeling heard again. And so that was like from last week coming into this week. And then this week I have a family situation that brought up some feelings, some sadness mostly from when my dad died. And then my dad's birthday was this week. And so there's a lot of feelings of, I would say, isolation, loneliness, um, and then, part of it too is I then start to go down the woe is me path, right? Like he never understands me, he never hears me. I have nobody to talk to, which is not true. Okay. I have a lot of coaching friends. I have good friends that I can be like, hey, I need to be coached on this. Okay. I can't get out of this spiral. I need coaching. I also have amazing families and friends that I could call them and be like, I just need to rant for a few minutes and I need to be able to that like I don't want you to fix the situation. I just want you to hear me and be like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, like you're a rock star. Nobody else would put up with this stuff." Like, right? I want to hear those things. Whether they're true or not, I want to hear that. So that was where I was at. So like knowing that, I chose not to call anybody else. I chose to kind of wallow. I also with the my dad's birthday, the last couple years, I would say have been easier birthdays. I was not affected very much. This one was really hard. I didn't do very much that day, and I did use those tools, right? Like I didn't want to not do anything, so I did a little bit of work. Actually, one of my daughters got had to come home. She was sick, so I picked up her, and then I kind of had a lazier day. Like I didn't want to do very heavy work. My work that I did that day was like behind the scenes, kind of um, website stuff, setting up emails, that kind of stuff. And even that, when I got to a point where I was like, this is too much. Like my brain is so foggy, I can't. Like I just put it away. Like I planned for that day to be more open and more laid back. And so you can still show up for yourselves in little ways like that. And so I did notice the wins that I was having in that. I also noticed, there's a lot of times where like if I get in this place mentally, emotionally, I either a lot of times I'll overeat. Okay. Like I'll overeat, I'll just binge eat, I'll feel miserable. I'll just be like, okay, like I know gluten. I wouldn't say like it upsets my stomach, but I just know like I feel I mean this is TMI. I feel bloatier. I don't feel good when I eat a lot of gluten. So in the past, I would have just been like, screw it, like we're having pizza, then I'm gonna go find some chocolate, I'm gonna go do this, and I'm gonna like just stuff my face. And I didn't do that. I had that day, maybe it was the day before, right around when all this like sadness, heaviness was feeling, I did have a small piece of chocolate and again, I just planned for a lazier day. I went back to bed that morning also before I did some work things. I probably would have done more work things, but then my daughter came home, which that was okay too. I just kind of left it more open for that. So that is what, kind of in a nutshell, I want you guys to see that I have hard days too. Um, it's my dad is been this is going almost on 6 years. It's been 5.5 years since my dad has been gone, a little over 5 years since my mom has been gone. And so it still comes up. It still comes up. And a lot of times it is surrounding other events that are happening, right? Like when my husband and I are not getting along very well, that brings on more sadness, more pain because you already have those feelings. And so your brain is like, ooh, like I know what to do with this. I'm a pro at being the victim. I'm a pro at moping and feeling sad. I'm a pro at this. So sit back, Nicole. I got you. Like I can do this. And so I kind of, right, you get in that spiral and I also want to say that that's okay. I knew that's how I was showing up. I knew there was a lot of things that my husband did apologize, and I just like I didn't want to hear it. I wasn't in that place. I wasn't open to it. I probably should have communicated that with him that like, listen, I know you're apologizing and I partially accept it, but I'm not over it yet. Like, I'm not over it. This was a big thing for me to feel that dismissed. Like, I am not over it. And so I could have communicated that better. And I see that, right? Like, I can see that, especially as a coach. I can see that so clearly. And I still sometimes choose not to use the tools that I have. I choose not to say, well, what are you thinking? Like, well, you could start out by saying, like, oh, you have a husband. Your husband is trying. Your husband said he was sorry, right? Like, I could have done that. I was not in a place where I wanted to do that. And that is the difference, is sometimes we're not in that place. And so I really wanted to come on here and just show you guys that, yeah, it still happens. It happens to me. I'm human, so I'm not perfect. And even though when I kind of get this mindset, I do think that I'm perfect. Like, I do think that I should be more appreciated, more valued for all the things that I've put up with. But again, that's my humanness. That's where it ebbs and flows. And I know that I'll come out of this, like however that looks, I know that I'll come out of this and then I'll move forward and it'll be okay. And but in those moments, it doesn't feel like that. And so um I wanted you guys to kind of just see where the the transition can happen, right? Between knowing that, knowing that's what you're doing, and then with coaching, being able to choose a different way, right? And again, I'm not saying that if you have like I've been coached so many times, you guys, and I'm like, yeah, I hear you. I hear what you're throwing down, but I'm not going to pick it up, right? Like I'm not ready yet. And that's okay too. And like as your coach, that is what I walk you through. That is what I help you through. I help you navigate all those highs and lows. And if you're like, I just need a place to vent and I need words of affirmation from this, I I got you. I am so good at that. I'm so good at picking out even the things that you don't know that you need to hear. Like, I know what you need to hear because I've gone through it. I'm going through it this week. So I hope that helps somebody. I know that it's not really advice to get out of that place. Um, I think other podcast episodes and stuff can help you with that. This is more of a podcast episode to say there are hard weeks. There are hard weeks. And I also know that I'm choosing how I'm showing up and I'm okay with that in the moment. I'm fine with that. Looking back in hindsight, I wish that I maybe would have prayed a little bit more through it because I rely on prayer. But I was in the pouty pants temper tantrum like, no, God, like I'm not gonna come to you either because this is your fault. Like you made this husband of mine who hardens his heart and he won't ever be the first one to make the first move and like apologize. So I'm not going to do it either, right? Like 100% that's where I was at. And I'm okay with that, right? Like I think too like that is just a testimony also to coaching and how much it helps because I'm not going to beat myself up about it. I'm not going to say, "Oh, you should have and you should have done this and look at this." Like I know that's what I was choosing. I wasn't choosing the initial like my husband is out and I'm extremely worried about him. Like that response is just like, again, I do think there is some kind of PTSD trigger response that happens with me. It's certainly not where it was 5 years ago. There was a lot more that would set me off on that, but that is kind of the initial human reaction that I have. That's just like, oh my gosh, like just a just a second nature response almost. It's that fight, flight, or freeze, right? Like that is ingrained in us. And I know that that was my initial response and that I don't have. a ton of control over. Like I said, I've worked on some of that, so I do have more control than I used to. But from there, that's where then I chose not to move past it, not to forgive. And I, again, throwing a little temper tantrum, woe is me, victim mentality, and being okay with that. But then also seeing from that initial response I had, I don't need to beat myself up about that. I don't need to say that, oh, what's wrong with you? You should be over this by now. It's been 5 years. Like I don't need to do that. And that I think is a huge testimony to coaching and just I hope that you guys see, I hope that I'm conveying this properly, how much that would happen for me before, how much I was in that spot and I didn't even know that's what was happening. Now I see that's what's happening and after that I'm still choosing to show up a certain way. That's completely different than just feeling like there's an attack all the time. So I hope this was helpful, you guys. I would love if you guys ever have any comments or anything, you can always email me. I am currently kind of revamping and relaunching my brand, if you will. So I am currently building a new website. So I am excited to say I'm going to have a grief group coming up and I'll give you guys more details on that when I kind of have that a little bit more finalized. I'm literally like I'm building the website this week. So by the time the podcast comes out, it will not be completed. I hope to have a little bit farther than I am. But basically what it's going to be is it's going to be meeting once a week for a month. So 4 group sessions. We're going to meet and we're going to talk. And it's really for people who have it's for Catholics who have had an unexpected or traumatic death happen, a sudden death, if you will. And so I'm pretty excited about this. I'm excited to have a community and provide support for people who, again, like, are just like me, right? Share the Catholic faith. I think that sometimes there are a ton of grief groups, but there are not very many Catholic specific grief groups. So that's my goal is to provide more Catholic grief groups. And so I'm going to start with this first one. It's going to be surrounding if you've had a sudden or unexpected death. And so that website that I will get up and going very shortly. So you can go there and you can check it out with what I have up in the moment. But that is CatholicGriefCoach.com. So CatholicGriefCoach.com. And I hope to see you guys in the group. And I'm praying for you and have a blessed day.